Welcome to today's REL Midwest 101 webinar focused on strategies for using the EdMaps mapping application. Before we get started, I'd like to begin with a brief overview of REL Midwest and tell you a little bit more about who we are and what we do. REL Midwest is part of a network of 10 regional educational laboratories funded by the U.S. Department of Education's Institute of Education Sciences. Based in the Chicago area, REL Midwest serves the educational needs of Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin, and is administered by the American Institutes for Research. REL Midwest's charge is to improve academic outcomes for students by helping states, school districts, and schools systematically use data, conducting and supporting high-quality research and evaluation, and promoting evidence-based decision-making. In other words, REL Midwest helps educators and policymakers expand their knowledge and understanding of research and its value to decision-making and education reform. The EdMaps application is a web-based mapping application that helps users analyze publicly available school and district level data, observe trends over time, and frame conversations on practice and policy. It brings together publicly available data from a variety of sources, including the U.S. Census Bureau, Common Core of Data, and State Department of Education websites. It's centered around this idea of a story map, which is basically a combination of multimedia and relevant text that helps kind of present a story to the user in order to interpret the data being displayed. And soon we're going to be releasing the custom map functionality on the site, which will allow for custom map generation using any of the available data that's contained within the application. As I mentioned before, story maps are it's a way to combine web maps and multimedia to reveal the underlying story behind the data being displayed, and it allows for a communication of complex analysis that goes on with the data that's included in the application. I can show you an example of a story map here. This is the small area income poverty estimate data across the United States. So it's basically an indicator of poverty at the district level for the United States. Darker areas are going to show you areas that are more impoverished, and lighter areas are areas with less poverty. You can see real quick looking at data this way that there's pockets of higher poverty located in the southeast and across the southern portion of the United States, and there's areas with lower poverty located in the northern portion of the United States and in the more central region. Across the top, you can see that there's a play button. If this was the actual story map, we'd be able to advance through the years and see how this poverty data had changed over time so that you can analyze how this data shifts. But since it's just a screenshot, we're just looking at this one particular year. So now I'd like to give you a brief demo of the EdMaps application and some of the things you can do with it. So this is the home page. Once you get here, it tells you a little bit about the application. You can expand here and read in detail about what we're presenting and how the EdMaps application sort of came to be. Down here on the bottom, each of these tiles is representing a story map that's been created so far. The default view here is going to bring you to all of the maps that have been created, but if you wanted to, you can sort by the 4 REL Midwest priority areas of college and career readiness, early childhood education, educator effectiveness, and low-performing schools. Our goal is to eventually have story maps that tie back to each of these priority areas. So you can see now we've got a couple that don't have story maps that tie back. Those story maps are currently in development. We hope to release those soon. Under the All Maps tab, you can see we currently have story maps created for historic graduation rates and historic district level poverty. And we've got maps on priority and focus school designations and broadband speeds and school locale coming soon, currently in development. So let's go ahead and click into one of these, and we will take a look at a story map and see some of the things that you can do with it. So this is the historic graduation rate, historic graduation rate map that we've pulled together. This is going to show you graduation rates at the district level over time. We've got the years 2005 to 2006 through 2008, 2009 represented here. Anytime you see a slider, you can advance through the years or go back through the years and analyze how that data has changed over time. The legend on the right is always going to explain to you the data that's being displayed. So these are the graduation rates, and the color ramp here shows you the corresponding values, where the darker values are going to indicate those schools with lower graduation rates, and the lighter values are going to indicate the schools, school districts with higher graduation rates. You can control the layer transparency here, which is going to be helpful if you choose in the map options to change your base map. So the default is this sort of gray base map that's showing here. that allows you really just to zone in on the information that's being displayed at the top of it. But if you were interested, you could switch to imagery with labels. You can switch to satellite imagery. And this is where something like display transparency really comes in, because you can look at the underlying data as it relates to the data that's being displayed on top. You can zoom in and out with the controls over here. And this center dot will always bring you back to the full extent. Also under the map options, you can choose which state's data you're interested in looking at. And when data is comparable for the region, you'll be able to select all of the states within the region at the same time, and then zoom out to the region and look at how those states compare to each other. Because this is graduation rate data, and because those rates are kind of computed differently for each state, it would not be appropriate to make state-for-state comparisons here, so that option is not allowed. Down here is a nice graphic that shows you each state at the same time, and it shows you how those graduation rates have changed across the years. If you were interested, you can remove states from this graph by just clicking on them, or clicking on the symbols next to them, and you can add them back in the same way. This is a really useful tool if you want to see the states at the same time and visualize the data at the same time, or if you're interested in just zoning in on one particular state. Anything within the display at any given time can be identified by clicking on it. So I can click on a district boundary here, and that's going to bring up that district's name along with some of the corresponding information for that district. This is going to show you your typical bar chart information for the graduation rates for that district. And then it's going to tell you a little bit about the district underneath. You've got graduation rate, dropout rate, percent free and reduced lunch, percent ethnic minority, and then total student populations and the total schools contained within the district. Likewise, this map allows you to bring up information on poverty or on minority, and that displays it on top of the graduation rate data that's already there. So now you can see the legend has changed and been updated to include a new color ramp that shows you what the values are for the ethnic minority percentages that are being displayed on top of the graduation rates. So here you can see darker areas are representing those districts that have greater percentages of minorities, and the yellow districts or the lighter shaded blue districts are going to show you the less percentages of minority students. This is a really nice way to display how the data interacts together and see the relationships between the variables being displayed. Once again, you can affect the transparency here with these sliders and really kind of get this map looking exactly how you want it for the question that you're looking to answer. Clicking here will always bring you back to the REL Midwest EdMaps homepage. So whenever you're ready to look at a news story map, you can click there, come on back. Let's take a look at the historic district level poverty. A lot of these controls are going to be the same. A lot of these windows are going to be the same. Your legend's always going to populate here. Your map options are here. As I mentioned before, in this one, you can make comparisons across states, so you can choose to look at all the states at the same time, or you can uncheck these and look at one particular state of interest. An interesting thing about this story map is that it allows you to really get into these changes over time. So you can see we have a time slider on the bottom here, and if you click play, this slider will advance through the years and show you how poverty information has changed across these years in the Midwest region. You can see that there's some shifting going on in the early stages here, but once you get to 2007, 2008, things really start to get worse, and you really see these districts across the northern regions of Michigan and Minnesota and Wisconsin really start to increase in terms of the amount of students eligible for free and reduced lunch, which is a widely used proxy for poverty at the district level. So you can see that displaying data in this way allows you to really quickly and easily identify how data has shifted over time, as well as make comparisons across states to see how those data compare from state to state and districts within states. Once again, you can zoom to any particular area of interest, and you can identify that particular district or that particular school if school level information is being shown, and get some information about it. Here we've got the total student population being displayed alongside the percent eligible for free and reduced lunch. So you can get an indication not only how that how that district has changed in terms of the percentage of students eligible for free and reduced lunch, but you also get to view that at the same time as you view the total student population and how that might have shifted accordingly. And once again, you get some relevant information about that district down here below. Another great feature of these story maps are these get data and share function buttons up here on the top. At any given point, whatever you're exploring, you can click on that, and that's going to bring up the get data dialog box, which is going to allow you to download the data that's being displayed for that particular map. The same thing works for the share button. If you're interested in sharing the map as you have it displayed currently, it's going to give you a link that's going to show you, or it's going to allow users to access the map as you currently have it displayed and be able to explore the same data that you're exploring. There's quick and easy ways to send this to Twitter and to post this to Facebook as well, or you can just email the link directly. This search bar is also going to allow you to search the ArcGIS search function in order to identify particular districts or schools or cities or regions of interest. It's not 100% accurate. It's basically limited to the information that's been included in that database so far. But generally, if you plug in Chicago, you'll be able to see, you can pick Chicago, Illinois. So let's say that's where we're interested. That can bring you up there. You can also put in names of other towns. Sometimes this will pick up on district names. Sometimes this will pick up on school names. The school information is being displayed. So it's really up to what's been fed into that database at a particular time. But overall, it seems to be pretty accurate and pretty complete. Another thing we're currently working on is the custom map generator. We're hoping to roll this out later this year. And this is a staging site, so it's going to be a little buggy at this point. I don't want to get too deep into the functionality because a lot of it's still being developed. But I do want to show you the types of information that's being included here and the types of things you'll be able to do. So you can see on the left here, this is just bringing up a blank map. You've got your map options just like in the other maps. Right now we're looking at Illinois. You can switch to Indiana. You can go state by state here. You have a tab for district level information, and you have a tab for school level information. In the district, you can see we've got decennial census data, got American Community Survey data. There's data from the Common Core. Down here, you can control how that data is being displayed. So let's go ahead and just say we want some 2006-2010 American Community Survey data. We're interested in economic characteristics. Let's say we're interested, let's just pick something at random here, the percent unemployed of the civilian labor force. It's going to automatically populate that using the natural breaks distribution here. It's generally going to give you just 5 class breaks. But let's say that's not really appropriate. If you're interested in quantiles, you can do that. You can break it into 4 equal classes, 3 equal classes. This will allow you to take the class breaks up or down however you like. You don't have to do equal intervals. Or as the default was, you can bring it back to the natural breaks. And that's going to find natural breaks in your data and try to figure out a way that makes the most sense for displaying it. So this is going to allow you to combine district and school level data however you like to answer any kind of question you might actually have coming to this site. So we're really excited about this functionality and being able to roll it out for you. At the same time, we've added a functionality here called Add Map, and that's going to allow you to bring up a second map so that you can look at, say, another state like Indiana, and you can compare district data from any of the sources that are included over here, or school data as well. So you can make these types of comparisons, and once you get it to a point where you're happy with it and it seems to be answering the question you're interested in, once again, you can download that data or you can share that data with your colleagues. So we really hope this is going to be a valuable tool that you'll be able to use in your research or just to answer questions you may have moving forward. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join me today for this webinar, and I hope you learned a little bit about the EdMaps application and thought of some ways that you might be able to use this in your work. We hope that it's going to become a valuable tool that you can rely on to answer any number of questions, and we're always looking for feedback on the application. So this is my contact info here. Feel free to contact me and let me know if you have any additional thoughts or questions or concerns, and I'd be more than happy to help you address those.